Lilianne's from the group Canine Nutrigenomics, and she's got a truckload of information on the health of dogs and all sorts of things, and she can enlighten us on all sorts. But my most favorite thing is mitochondria, and also the little yellow tablet. So we're going to discuss a bit more on that later on. But I'll pass you over now to Lilianne, who will start the presentation, and hopefully you guys will have loads of questions and you'll really enjoy it. And thank you so much for joining us, either live on Facebook or live into Zoom. Take it away, Lilianne.
Thank you, Heather. I love to be with your group. I love watching your videos, and I talk to everyone about your book. But so yes, this is good social media, like getting minds that think alike together for the benefit of our beloved dogs. So I love it. So I was introduced to, at that time, we didn't call it nutrigenomics, but now it's become like a buzzword, about 10 years ago. And I've been using it ever since with just amazing, amazing results. And I'm a dog trainer, so I've been training dogs for over 50 years. And if you're amongst dog people, you hear all these horror stories, right? Of the dogs getting sick, of the dogs getting cancer. And we are a special group. I believe that we're trying to do raw feeding and minimal vaccinations, and we watch what we eat and we watch what we put on the floors and all of that. And still our dogs are getting sick. So it is very, very frustrating. So that's why we started with this topic of the toxins and the toxic load. And Heather and I, and also Barbara, we're super excited about this new technology, because I think it really can give our dogs like that extra little, to get us over the hump on top of everything we're doing. It's not that we're doing anything wrong. I think we're doing everything right. It's just that our environment is just overpowering everything that we're doing right, and we still need more. So let me know. I'm going to share my screen, so you let me know if this is working. Somebody give me a thumbs up. Oh, and it's gone all the way. Hold on, I gotta go all the way to the beginning. Okay, come on this way. So you're seeing my presentation. Oh, here's the bar. Duh. Okay, so is my screen showing? So, oh, and then please, if you have any questions, put them in the chat. I know this is a lot of information, so I'll be happy to answer any questions as we go. I'll do some little stops there so that Heather can tell me if there's any questions. So nutrigenomics is the new science that shows how nutrition can actually change gene expression, and we can use it to optimize canine health span. So health span is now a new buzzword. So it's not how long we live, but how long we live healthy. And that, for us and for our animals, it's so important. So that is what, why is it not going into full percent mode? There it is. Okay, here we go. That is better. And let me move people over here. Okay, so this is what we've been discussing, right? This this toxin overload coming from vaccinations, pharmaceuticals, our environment, flea and tick topicals, the stuff that's sprayed on the lawn, all the stuff that we use inside the house, Wi-Fi, toxins in the water, the GMO, dogs that are fed only kibble. Hopefully most people in this group don't do that. And it can also come from the treats. So one of the things that I think that has brought on is this horrific rate of cancer, where 50 years ago, it was estimated that maybe only 1 in 100 dogs would be diagnosed with cancer. And now the dog has the highest rate of cancer of any mammal on the planet. And the rate is 1 in 1.65 dogs will succumb to cancer. So if this keeps going at this pace, pretty much every dog is going to die of cancer. And this is very interesting. Dr. Marty Goldstein, which is one of the vets here in the United States, he's an older guy now. I think he's in his 70s. So he was going to school at a very prestigious Cornell University veterinary school, and he said approximately only 1 out of 10 dogs had cancer, And it was considered a disease of the old, so that if a new dog would come in with a lump or something suspicious, they didn't think of cancer as the first thing. Whereas now they regularly see dogs even under 18 months old with terminal cancer. So pretty sad. The Forever Dog is a book that was released a few years ago by Rodney Habib and Dr. Karen Becker, who are the producers of this documentary about the truth about pet cancer. And they state that dogs have 35 more skin cancer than people, 4 times more breast tumors, 8 times more bone cancer, and twice the incidence of leukemia. So pretty dramatic. And this is our topic. So Dr. Jean Dodds wrote this book, Canine Nutrigenomics, talking about that topic, that we have more influence over our dog's health than we ever imagined, even when it comes to pretty serious health conditions. So she advises everyone to not give up hope. And I like to bring that up because I'm all about positive. So what is all these environmental toxins are creating something called oxidative stress. Oxidative stress is free radicals, free radical damage. So we can see it visually here. We have an apple, and if we cut it and we leave it on the counter, we know it's going to turn brown. If you leave a metal outside, it's going to rust. So oxidative stress is rusting inside your cells. And the reason it's happening is because all the reactions that happen in the body. So when we breathe in, we take oxygen in the air. When we metabolize food, there are free radicals that are being formed, and also from the environmental toxins that our body is trying to fight. So we're going to call those free radicals a bad guy. And what they're doing is they're stealing an electron from a healthy cell, now making that cell sick. So there are over 200 diseases, including cancer. This is both for humans and animals, that are associated with oxidative stress, which is caused by that free radical damage. Now, can you guess how many free radicals your dog makes every day? It is estimated that dogs make 300 septillion, that's 300 followed by 24 zeros, free radicals per day. And they are affecting every single organ system in the body. So brain, there's a very high, at least here in the United States, I don't know about in UK, a very important uptick in seizures in dogs, heart disease, kidney disease, liver. Usually when these two start malfunctioning, it's really hard for the dogs to recover and, you know, get back to health. Usually medication is prescribed, which is then again adding to the toxic load. We have a lot of gastrointestinal issues, skin issues are rampant, and then the lung, the eyes, blood vessels, everything is affected. And that cumulative effect of that oxidative stress is one of the theories of why we age. And there is a site that is a government site here in the United States called PubMed.gov. So for those of you that are like science oriented, that like to know about the nitty gritty of everything, if you go to PubMed.gov and type oxidative stress and whatever condition you're interested, diabetes, cancer, heart disease, liver disease, you will see the amount of studies that have been done. And although that is a site that's written for scientists and doctors, if you see that there are 13,000 studies linking oxidative stress to whatever condition you're researching, you know that it's very, very important. Otherwise, they wouldn't be doing so much research. So up to now, the only solution that has been available for us is that of direct antioxidants. And that is why good food, those of us that do the raw feeding, that add colorful green, leafy, vegetable, color, variety, and some good supplements to our dog's diet instead of just kibble, or use no kibble is even better. The issue with that is that that is a one-to-one approach. So what that means is one molecule of an antioxidant from good food will only be able to neutralize one free radical, and then they're both destroyed. So what is happening is the good guy, the antioxidant, is giving an electron to the bad guy to calm it down, say, calm down, don't chew me up, don't destroy me, and everything is stable. But can you see that this approach, when we are making these many, or dogs are making these many free radicals per day, is only going to make a teeny dent into this humongous issue. So if I could give you a visual, when you're doing the direct antioxidant approach, is it's like you have a house on fire and you're trying to throw a Dixie cup of water at a time to try to put out that fire. Obviously, it's not going anywhere. So let's find out. This is the better way that Heather and Barbara and I are so excited about. So it's, again, how nutrition can affect our DNA. So what science has discovered is that virtually every gene has a direct or an indirect relationship to nutrition. We really, really are what we eat. And genes can be turned on or off like a light switch. So it's a new field called epigenetics. And this is fascinating because what this essentially means is that even if your DNA has, let's say, coding for a certain disease, that doesn't necessarily have to be expressed. So using nutrition, you can turn that gene off so that it's not expressed with a bad issue, or you can turn it on so that it expresses with good issues, things that we want that can help that cell healthy. So Heather, is there any questions so far? Do you have a question, or Barbara? Should I just keep going on?
No, there's no questions so far.
Okay, so keep going.
Yeah.
So basically what nutrigenomics is that certain nutrients will send a signal to turn on pathways. Pathways, think of a pathway as instructions. So these are instructions within the cell that activate, that's why we equate it to like turning on a switch, to make more antioxidant enzymes. So making a lot of good guys. Now, the importance is that these are enzymes. So we're activating these gene instructions that then tell the cell to protect against oxidative damage. It signals the DNA to make more of these enzymes, more anti-inflammatory enzymes, and more detoxifying enzymes. And this is the focus that we are on, right? So we can get a handle of that huge amount of toxins that is entering our dogs through the environment and the food. It will also give instructions to repair DNA and regulate. There's something called apoptosis. This is a scientific term that sounds a little fancy, but all it means is that every cell has a cycle. So cells reproduce and then they function for a certain time and then they're supposed to die. And one of the theories of tumors is that when that process is messed up, the cells never die. So they continue reproducing. And that is one of the theories of why tumors can be formed. So the importance of this is that this word, enzymes are very, very powerful molecules in the cell that save the cell a lot of energy, so they can work a lot more efficient. So one example that I came upon where I was doing research that I loved is they say, like, let's say that you go to the amusement park and a ride costs 10 pounds to ride. Well, with the appropriate enzymes, that ride would only cost the cell 1 pound instead of 10. So it's saving the cell energy and it can work a lot more efficiently. So there are two pathways that we are going to be discussing about. One is NRF2, and these are long biochemical names that I can't even remember. It's nuclear respiratory factor, blah, 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 long name. And then NRF1 is nuclear respiratory factor 1. And this is what Heather and I are super excited about, is the mitochondria. So the NRF1 pathway increases the mitochondrial function and networks. So mitochondria are formed like little string of pearls, and we have thousands of thousands per cell. So all the organs in your body that use a lot of energy, example, your brain, right? It's like a gas guzzler. It's like, it can't stop working, not any second of the day. Your heart is the same thing. It has to pump 24/7. And your muscles, think about our dogs, think about our performance dogs that are running, that are jumping, that are, any performance sports is going to have a huge physical demand. So your heart, your muscles, and your brain have the most amount of mitochondria, to the tune of like 3,000 and even more per cell. Can you imagine 3,000 of these little things per cell? Now, why are these so important? Because they make this molecule called ATP. And think of ATP as money. It is money that the cell is making to be able to go out and buy other things. So to make proteins, to make healthy cell walls, to make lipids, to everything that needs to happen to repair that cell, it is going to use this energy currency called ATP. So as we age, so think of NRF1 and mitochondria as cellular energy, right? So it's not just energy to be running and happy and energetic. It's like it's energy to function. So these are two products that there's a company called LifeVantage that we represent, we've become partners with. And they have a product called Protandim NRF2, and there's a Protandim NRF1. And they are all made with specific parts and a very specific ratio of herbs. So NRF2 is turmeric root, green tea, bacopa, milk thistle, and ashwagandha. And you may be already taking some of these or even giving it to your dog, but I will show you a little slide later on to see why this is so much more effective, because it's the ratio that they were combined. It took a scientist 40 years to come up with a formula that reduces oxidative stress by 40% in 30 days. So that free radical damage will be slashed by 40% in 30 days. This is something that was never, ever accomplished. So they did some human clinical trials, and this is what they discovered. So the light blue line is how your oxidative stress goes up as you age. And this is what happened when people were taking this NRF2 formula. It stayed at the level of a 20-year-old person. So at the end of the studies, they could not distinguish the blood of an 80-year-old person from that of a 20-year-old person. And that was so dramatic and so impactful that the company was able to patent this formulation so nobody can copy it. And then the same way, they said, oh, okay, let's do some more research to see if there's other pathways that we can activate with natural ingredients. So NRF1 is rhodiola coenzyme Q10, which a lot of people are familiar with, grapeseed, alpha lipoic acid, and quercetin. Grapeseed is found in, that's why they say, you know, drinking red wine. The name escapes me this minute. Resveratrol. Resveratrol is a green seed extract, and it's, again, it activates this pathway. So they have measured how much more these genes are activated. So 65% and 71%. This is very, very dramatic. It's very, very important. So what they did is they did some control studies where they tested each herb in that NRF2 preparation separately, and then the Protandim formula, and they discovered that it was 18 times more effective. So things that you may be using like green tea and turmeric by its own, they have zero effect on the detox pathway of glutathione. Glutathione is the main detoxifying enzyme in the liver. And that is why milk thistle is recommended as a liver detox. But then the question is, would you like to be able to help the liver by 1 or by 18, right? This is way, way, way more effective. So that's why they were able to secure a patent. So talking about the enzymes again, one antioxidant enzyme, so one molecule of glutathione can neutralize 1 million free radicals per second, every second. Can you imagine that? And the enzyme can recycle itself for about 11 days. So this is like, if I go back to the example of the house on fire, right? So direct antioxidant with supplements and good food is a Dixie cup of water on a house on fire. This is like having a fire hose in every room so that you can put out the fire the minute it starts, right? So can you see how now with this approach, we can neutralize a whole bunch of free radicals? So there's almost no comparison to what we can do with, and that's not to say that we do not need good food, but this is just an adjuvant that can help. So glutathione, I am absolutely in love with glutathione. I could talk about glutathione until the cows come home. That's a very American saying. I don't know if they say that in Britain. Anyway, I guess the cows never want to come home. But it increases energy. It slows down aging. It reduces muscle and joint discomfort. Imagine how important this is for our senior dogs that are starting to slow down. It strengthens the immune system, detoxifies the liver and cells, improves mental focus and clarity. I've had really good results for performance animals with this because it does affect their brain. The quality of sleep, it reduces the effects of stress, it improves the skin and athletic performance and recovery. With the stress effects, think about your rescue dogs that are now coming into a new home and they have all these new things that they have to get used to. If you have a new puppy that you're socializing and getting out into the world and listening to all the noises, you know, when you bring your puppy home, that he's going to be away from his litter mate, all this are very stressful. If you can minimize all that, imagine the huge impact that it can have on your dog's health. So what happens with glutathione, as with all of our enzymes in the body, is as we hit 40, the normal regular production of this enzyme starts declining very, very rapidly. So this is a double whammy, right? Because our oxidative stress starts going up and the means that the body naturally has to protect go down. So that will increase the free radical damage and the oxidative stress. So here is our hero, the mitochondria, the powerhouses of the cell. There is a book called Tripping Over the Truth by this author, Travis Christofferson. It is kind of like a dense book. So unless you like really love science, it's not an easy read. But I love this. He says, the condition of the mitochondria dictate the capacity of the cell to function over time. As they decline, cellular operations decline with them. So when your mitochondria start functioning, think of it like if you have a building and all of a sudden the lights start turning off, turning off, turning off, turning off, turning off, until there's no more energy going through that building or that cell, then that cell dies. And there is a mitochondrial disease that is, this is so interesting. I read something with a doctor that said that he attended a mitochondrial disease. Mitochondrial disease apparently is just, it's a genetic disease and it's only about 5% of the population. But mitochondrial dysfunction caused by pharmaceuticals is like 95%. But guess what? Because that convention that he went was, let's say, supported, or the sponsors were all these pharmaceutical companies that are trying to develop drugs, they made absolutely no mention of that for, you know, as something they needed to worry about. And he was like, we need to worry about all the environmental assaults that we're doing on the mitochondria that's creating disease, and they didn't want to know anything about that. So so big pharma is just a huge monster that is hard to combat. But look at things that can be affected when your mitochondria are not working. So diabetes, I know this, I think diabetes is even more in cats than dogs. Epilepsy, so seizures, unexplained liver failure, cancer, unexplained kidney disease, and heart disease and heart failure. And I think these are things that really a lot of dogs are being affected by. So these are a few more little snippets of this book that I was telling you about. So this just blows my mind. It says, if a cancerous cell nucleus is transplanted into a normal cell, the cell remains normal. However, if you transplant the mitochondria from a cancerous cell into a normal cell, the cell becomes cancerous. This is just mind-blowing. Cancer cells have damaged mitochondria, and damaged mitochondria send emergency signals, and the DNA responds, and the cell begins to exhibit the hallmark features of cancer, which is uncontrolled proliferation, DNA mutations, and evasion of cell death. That's that apoptosis that we talked a little bit about in the beginning. Okay, so let's recap. So what we have here is activation as opposed to supplementing. will activate, will turn on pathways inside our cells that will tell the cell to make more enzymes that protect against oxidative stress, that reduce inflammation, and that help our bodies detox. This particular formula can elevate the production of glutathione by 300%. And glutathione, think of glutathione, it's a huge molecule and it's like sticky flypaper. So everything that's yucky will attach to it, and then the liver can get rid of it through the feces. So one of the things that I was reading is that glyphosate, which is what they use, what's in all those GMO crops and on the pesticides, and that here in the United States, they call it Roundup, and people spray it in their yards to control weeds. That glyphosate can only be taken out by glutathione. It is the one enzyme, the one molecule that binds to glutathione and binds to glyphosate, excuse me, the glutathione binds to the glyphosate and it can be excreted, and it helps the liver. Because the other ramification of this is that when the liver is overburdened, meaning the toxic load is so high that the liver cannot naturally process and detox it, it's going to send it to be stored in fat cells. Because that's the body trying to protect so that it doesn't go to the brain, so that it doesn't go to other organs. And there is apparently a link between obesity and, you know, it's just another rabbit hole that we can go down, that obesity can be linked to a high level of toxicity in the body, because these just fat cells are just growing and growing and growing to try to store, to, you know, to protect other organs. And then our NRF1 pathway is to maintain healthy mitochondria, vitality, and energy. Super, super important. And then there's that cancer piece that is just mind-blowing. So one last thing that I wanted to bring to everyone's attention is the University of California, Davis, did a study a few years ago correlating the aging process between humans and canines. And we have all heard that formula, 1 year in a dog's life is equivalent to 7 years. So we thought, like, if my dog is 2 years old, he's 14. If my dog is 5 years old, you know, he's 20 something. And it turns out that we were really, really off. Dogs age exponentially during their first years of life. So what happens is when your dog is 1 year old, he is the equivalent of a 30-year-old person. When your dog is 4 years old, he's 50 something. So my girls now are sadly like 65, so they're my age. And when I read this, I wanted to cry. But the way that I have, that I analyze this is then we need to start, the earlier we start with these interventions that can help activating NRF2 and NRF1, we need to do it here, right, in this period of time, so that then we're giving our dogs the best foot forward so that we can increase, remember what we talked about, health span. So it's not how long we live, so how long we live healthy. So I want my dogs to, you know, hopefully reach 15, 16, 17 years old, and they just died of old age, as opposed to having a long drawn out, you know, diseases and having to visit the vet 25 million times, or even worse, you know, having a cancer diagnosis. They now say that 50% of dogs over 10 years old will be diagnosed and die of cancer. And really, dogs should be living to be 18 to 20 years old. So, you know, at least 16 to 18 for the larger breeds, and then 18 to 20 for the smaller breeds. And I remember, I don't know about you, Heather, but I remember when I was a little girl that you would ask people like, how old is your dog? And I remember people saying like, oh, he's 18 or he's 17. And now it's like pretty much unheard of. And I've lost so many students to cancer that are 9 years old, 10 years old. It's really, really, really sad. So this is what I have. We do have a lot of before and afters, but since we were focused on the toxins, you know, we can't we don't have a before and after on that. We just have like super, you know, healthy dogs, or dogs that we're told, you know, you need to go home and there's nothing we can do, and they're alive and well. So I don't know if you have any questions, Heather or Barbara.
No, I've got no questions, and there's none from the ladies that are watching. But maybe when more people have watched the, you know, watched the video back, there might be some more questions on, certainly on the mitochondria, perhaps, because that does take a bit of time to get your head around. And the glutathione is really interesting as well. I mean, we could do an hour's talk on pretty much all of those little things, and because they are also interesting and also important for health. And I don't think too many people realize just how important all these individual enzymes and proteins and everything is to general health. So so yeah, hopefully people can, you know, watch the repeat and get some questions going, so we can start putting more dogs on a good healthy lifespan and health span.
Yeah, prevention is key. So
Yeah.
I want to mention a couple of things, because these are questions that maybe can come up. These products are made of herbs. There are natural products. There's no pharmaceuticals. There are no types of contraindication. If you have a dog that is already sick and is on a certain protocol from your vet, we can get them some information, but this is not going to interfere with anything. This is going to actually enhance whatever protocol they're on by way of making those cells function more efficiently. So what my experience is in these 10 years that I've been using these products is that when dogs or people are on a pharmaceutical protocol and they add this is an add-on, they can gradually decrease the amount of medication needed because that cell is functioning so much more efficiently. So that's point number one. And I think that most people, at least if, in my case, for my dog, I would want to get him off of medication as soon as possible, because again, I know that that's interfering with the mitochondria. Yeah. So this, you can see this as a support, a whole body support. There are some really nasty diseases out there that sadly they either have no cure, or because the dog is so advanced in that process that you know, it's very sad. But this is something that can support all the other organs, because once your liver and your kidneys stop working properly, it's very, very, very hard for that body to fight anything. So by you supporting these organs, and we know we've had turnarounds in kidney and liver issues, dogs that were on kidney failure and we're told there's nothing we can do, dogs that were not eating for weeks and not drinking for the last week, and they have come back, literally come back to life, being told by several vets. So this is something that the support of the liver with that glutathione is so massive that, and that is something that, you know, you have your blood test, you go a month later and, you know, the blood test is better, you know, it's working. So there's no, you know, if and buts. And then these products, I consider them to be very cost effective, because once you don't need to be adding all these supplements that are a little bit of a guesswork. I'm not saying they're bad. They are very, very good, but this is something that is different. We have to look at activation as now your body can make what it needs, as opposed to you trying to guess what it needs. Oh, this is good. Somebody said this is good. Somebody gave this to the dog and they were better. But it's a little bit of guesswork because you don't know exactly how much you need, what combination of supplements you need, how bioavailable are them, especially when you go into the realm of herbs. Herbs are more potent if they're grown, you know, where they were first, you know, where the region of the planet where they naturally grow, and the part of the plant is also very important. So these products that we're recommending, they were able to get, you know, seals of approval that they have the same consistency, the same potency. They had to prove that they work 99% of the time, or they could not get a patent. So it's very interesting information, and there's lots of science on them as well for the people that like that. But I don't know the price in pounds, but here in the United States, you know, you can treat a dog with NRF2 for around $30 a month, a large dog, so less for a smaller dog. And if you want to add the NRF1 is something that you can add a few times a week. Maybe you don't have to give it, you know, you could do it twice a week or 3 times a week. I would, if your dog has been diagnosed with cancer, then I would certainly do it like super regularly. But it might be then double that. So $60 a month. It's not, I consider it to be like worth, you know, their weight in gold. You have a question, Barbara?
Yeah, where's my mute button? Anyway, I didn't want to interrupt that because it was so good. That's why I raised my hand. But I do want to not leave out the toxicity of overdosing and of the NRF2, where it is so opposite of medication that's given to the dogs.
Thank you. Yes, that's a very good point. So the way these products work, it's called a pulsatile action. So they work for a few hours. So meaning those pathways are activated for 3 to 6 hours a day. That's why you have to take them every day, because then you get more oxidative stress from the environment. And then again, if a particular cell is perfectly healthy, it won't do anything. Because what the NRF2, think of the NRF2 almost like a thermostat in your house, where it is set. So if that cell is healthy, nothing is going to happen. It's like if your temperature is set, it's there, it doesn't need to move. Now, the outside temperature starts going up and I need to turn the air conditioning on, that's when it works. Or it's getting too cold and then I need to turn the heater on. So that's how these products work. Think of them as balancers. So if this cell is under huge oxidative stress attack, it'll start making the antioxidants to quiet that down. But if it doesn't need it, it just doesn't do anything. It just pops back out. So that's a very interesting point. You can't overdose. You can't give too much. You could give too little and not get activation. So, I have a very naughty dog that has stolen a whole bottle of the pet product, and twice with maybe like 2 or 3 pills missing, and nothing has happened. So that is something that I love about this. You know, there's always a side effect to pharmaceuticals. It's really the body responding to not liking that stuff, right? That's why we have a side effect, because the body is saying like, I don't like this. I don't agree with this. And then something also important on the detoxing part, I know this to be certain humans, and of course it's a little harder to pinpoint in dogs. We do have some humans that, if there's a high level of toxicity, they will have detox symptoms, loose stools or headache or achy joints, or so that, people need to drink more water to aid the organs that do the detoxing. It's not a bad thing. Some people get scared, and I go like, no, it's good. It's your body now saying, yay, we can get rid of all this junk. In the dogs, that's hard. The dog won't say, oh, my head hurts a little bit, right? So they could be, a little off or have a little loose stools or things like that. But most of the time, dogs take it really, really well. We always recommend giving it with food. And if in doubt, like if you've had a dog that has been heavily, heavily medicated, I would start really small, maybe every other day, adding something like bone broth and some liquids in the food so that, they can flush all the toxins. So because we're mainly focused on toxins, I'm glad you brought that up, Barbara. But this is going to be huge to help those dogs detox. We have dogs that had gone into horse worming medication, overdosing on ivermectin and losing their eyesight temporarily and things like that. And we've gotten them back by helping them detox. So this is really powerful, very powerful in a very safe way. I love that. I just love that.
I like it for I think my eldest bitch has been on it probably just over a year. and she's now having her vet treatments. Instead of every 3 to 4 weeks, we now go every 6 to 7 weeks.
Awesome.
So it's made a big difference to her, big difference, and she's much more sprightly. Yeah, it's been really good.
Older dogs is unbelievable, the changes. If
Yeah.
you have an older dog that starts to slow down, that doesn't want to go for walks, that can't get on the furniture or go up the stairs anymore, the changes are just beautiful to see within a few weeks. You know, their eyesight, you know, when you get that old, like gray old dog, like I'm tired, leave me alone kind of thing. And when you see those eyes clear up and them being, you know, following you around again and bright and cheery, and you know, or offering they want to play ball, or they start bringing you their toys. It's just a joy to watch them.
Yeah.
It's really, really good. So if anybody wants information, you know, I was one that I was jumped in all head first. Heather was the same way. Barbara was the same way. But if you need more information, we'd be more than happy to get you whatever you need. We have studies, we have everything is there, and get back with Heather. She can point you in the right direction. And if you want to start using these products for you or your dogs, it works the same. All mammals, we all have oxidative stress. We're all inundated with a toxic world.
So I'd like to thank Lilianne for the presentation. I'd like to thank everybody who's watched live with us and joined us on Zoom. But also thank you to you if you're watching on, do they call it rewind or whatever it's called?
Replay.
Give me a dog with a problem, I'm fine. Give me something technical and I'm just lost.
But we get a gold start today. Oh my goodness.
Yay!
It worked flawlessly for once.
So thanks everybody in Facebook land, and we will see you again really soon. Thank you very much for watching. Thanks, Lilianne.
Thanks for having me.